we started the Geoff Ogilvy Foundation, I guess, because when I came back a few years ago from the US and I was sort of wondering where I could fit into the golf landscape and seeing if I could help out a little bit. I mean, it was a little bit sort of self-interest. I wanted to play golf with all the good players around and sort of see all the juniors and the kids and started playing with them. And I just sort of felt like they were getting sort of excellent tuition and sort of learning the sort of building blocks of golf, but they weren't really sort of playing golf enough with enough good players and enough competition. So I sort of tried to sort of get into that space, sort of introduce me and my network and the pros, Marcus Fraser and Matt Griffin and Nick Ahern and all these guys. And so let's sort of present ourselves and sort of be there and play golf with these guys and mentor these people and sort of tell them some stories from tour, and they can learn a little bit by watching us play and asking us some questions, and really sort of just to bring the tour to them in a way, you know, sort of so they learn a little bit more about sort of where they're headed, you know, as opposed they're great swingers and they learn all about the fitness and the nutrition and all that, but they were sort of missing, I think, that element of like what's it like on tour and how do you really become a successful tour player. And I thought there was sort of a gap in there to fit in there. I don't know. I mean, it's a tough life being a professional golfer, really. I mean, it's travel. There's the travel element. There's you sort of you're leaving home. I mean, to be a successful professional golfer in Australia, you really have to travel all the way across to Europe or Asia or America, and that's a long way from home when you're a kid. And you just life teaches you the lessons along the way. And I think golf is one of those sports, or one, just the nature of being a pro. As I said, traveling, different city every week, different foods, different languages, different cultures every week. That plus golf is just a really incredibly frustrating game that sort of takes a lot of hard work and a lot of patience and teaches you a lot about yourself. I don't think we're trying to discover the next Gary Webb or Greg Norman, but we're trying to sort of help with the environment down here and create sort of a situation where they could be created and they could come out of that. I think the way it's sort of been down here, got a little bit sports science based, a little bit too focused on sort of the building blocks of golf, the fundamentals of having a good swing and strong abdominals and all that sort of stuff. But it didn't really, there was a lack of competition and sort of that sort of gritty, that sort of head-to-head stuff. And that's where the Gary Webbs and the Greg Normans and the Tiger Woodses and the Adam Scotts come from. It's the competition, and it's like they're banging up against the best all the time. And we just want to provide, as I said, some really sort of good experiences for these kids, a lot more competition, exposure to pros, sort of get them to play rounds of golf with people who have made it and had some success. And I don't know, as I said, I don't think you discover Kari and Greg. I think they get created, and we're just trying to sort of add to the environment down here to help that happen. I think they all go together, really. I think competition is the number one most important thing for anything. I mean, it's sort of how humans evolve in general in anything, is that you sort of bump up into an obstacle and you find a way around it, or you find your way over it, and then you go again, you bump into an obstacle and you find your way around it and you go over it. And competition provides that sort of every day. I mean, match play competition, stroke play, just trying to beat the best players around on a very regular basis is really sort of where you learn and sort of sharpen your sort of toolkit, if you like. And I think tuition is sort of very personal, depends on an individual basis. I think a lot of people don't need any help. You know, Dustin Johnson's never needed any help to play golf, you know, and then Nick Faldo needed David Ledbetter for 2 years to sort of do what he did, you know, and there's everything in between. So I think the tuition, I think, is more of an individual thing, but I think if we can get the competition in there, and I think the mentoring just sort of rolls along with that, if you can get some sort of experience around these young kids. Just being around experienced tour players, I think, is good for these kids. You just sort of see their eyes light up and they ask lots of questions and they just sort of like being around us. So I think that the mentoring is just a natural sort of side effect of playing golf with these kids on a regular basis, and the competition really is where you sharpen the skill set and learn how to become great or start becoming great. I think just the idea that you've got, and it's not just me, it's me and Matt Griffin and Fraze and Nick Ahern and all these guys, sort of the fact that we've got, that's the wealth of experience in golf, at least from a professional touring player front we've got in Australia, and I think creating like the funding that we get helps us create more and more opportunities to get us and the kids together and create more little tournaments, more bigger tournaments. There's more competition. These things cost a little bit of money. Obviously, golf's kind of an expensive game, and we have sort of big ambitions, I guess, at the foundation to sort of create more and more good opportunities and create great environments for these kids. And so I think if you love golf, you get excited when Scotty Adams winning the Masters, or you love watching Cam win the Players Championship or any of that sort of stuff, and you get up on Monday morning. I mean, it helps grow the game, and I think it makes the general sports fan in Australia really happy and proud when they get up on Monday morning and there's Aussies doing well overseas. And I think if that's really sort of a passion for you and you love the game and you love seeing the kids sort of leave Australia and go and represent overseas, I think that would be a good reason to donate. I've gradually got to know Brian over the last sort of 20 years, really. Super successful businessman. I mean, probably one of the most successful business guys in Australia's recent history. I mean, his brother's obviously kind of famous from tennis, and he got involved in the Australian Open early on in my career, sort of in the early 2000s, and really enjoyed spending time with Paul, and he had some great ideas. It was a little bit different sort of from the golf set, and he sort of got to know him well, and then sort of bumped into Brian a few times, sort of a few mutual friends, and sort of played a few times with him, and I've always been very impressed with him. He's a very wise man. He loves golf. I've bumped into him all over the place. I bumped into him on the first tee at Troon once, and we played in Arizona a couple of times, and it's just been a great relationship. I always learn a lot when I'm with him, and hopefully he learns a little bit about golf when we play golf, and it's just great to have him on board sort of steering the ship, because as I said, a guy of that sort of experience, and he brings a great network. His network of sort of contacts is incredible, and he's a very respected guy, so we're very lucky to have him sort of at the helm.